Hello and welcome to another edition of UFO Video Addicts. Let me give you a preview of what I got coming up in this video. The first is a news report from 1996 with George Knapp when he went to Russia and looked in on their investigations of UFOs. Also have this video which was just recently uploaded to Reddit of something that some guy took in his backyard with his telescope. This is a very interesting video of Dr. Carol Rosin and what Werner von Braun told her, or warned her about before he died. She talks about how he had cancer and he entrusted her with warning the people about weaponizing space. Also have this video which looks into a small office in the State Department that this person believes holds a lot of answers to UFO information. This is a Gizmodo article about the Army's newest night vision goggles. They think it's stolen from aliens. It's probably just in the title. I don't necessarily know if that's true. Let's see. This is an interesting story about a UFO sighting in 1865. Also have this photo of these water spouts. Of course, I believe that there's actually UFOs back there or behind the clouds. Let's see. This is a video about a unfinished stone which was found in Egypt, and they believe that it was going to be used to cut a 200-ton monolith. They think, this is because this shape is actually still in the rock. They were basically sketching it out. And then let's see. Last is this video of an eruption, this volcano erupting in Iceland. This is just recently uploaded on May 1st. So anyways, let me go to the first video here. Now, like I said, this one is, several different shots or talks about George Norrie, talks about Russian investigating all the UFO sightings they were having at their nuclear facilities.
Object. In Tbilisi, a crew shooting a music video spots this overhead. Today, average Russians are free to discuss UFOs, but it wasn't always so. Through the 50s and 60s, the Kremlin declared UFOs a capitalist creation, thus a non-topic. But behind the scenes, Stalin and other leaders authorized secret UFO studies. Retired Colonel Boris Sokolov commanded such a study for 10 years. The entire Russian military took part. Thousands of reports were generated, but were kept secret until 1993, when Sokolov first spoke to us. The study included 40 incidents of Russian warplanes encountering UFOs. One MiG had its wing damaged in a collision with a UFO. This former pilot says a UFO disabled his plane with a beam of light. In 1982, a UFO hovered over a nuclear missile base in the Ukraine for hours. Unexplainably, codes were entered and the missiles were ready for launch until the UFO vanished.
So, like I've said many, many times, we are not alone on this planet. There's a reason why, the Russian military has so many encounters with UFOs, just like our military. I mean, ask yourself, does it make more sense that all of these sightings or all of these encounters are from visitors? Or would it make more sense that some are visitors and the majority are the advanced species that share the planet with us? Anyways, let's go to this video here. This is from Reddit. It was just uploaded yesterday. Check this out. Let me go. Let's see, start here. Now, he says he's taken this with his telescope, but it's hard to, without seeing anything else, it's hard to get a reference of what exactly he caught. But anyways, that's a short. Link will be in the description. Let's see. This is, it's a 33-minute video, so I can only play a little bit of it, but it's definitely telling because, she explains how, von Braun entrusted her with warning people about weaponizing space.
When Werner von Braun was dying of cancer, he asked me to be his spokesperson, to appear on occasions when he was too ill to speak. And I did. And what he asked me to do was to educate decision makers and the public about why we shouldn't be putting weapons in space, why they're a dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, untestable, unworkable idea, and what the alternatives are, how we could be building a cooperative space system. What was most interesting to me was a repetitive sentence that he said to me over and over again during the approximately 4 years that I had the opportunity of working with him, and that was the strategy that was being used to educate the public and decision makers, and the scare tactics, the spin that was being put on a weapon system. And that was how we identify an enemy. The enemy, at first, he said, the enemy against whom we're going to build a space-based weapon system that he thought was a ridiculous idea, unnecessary and very dangerous, not to mention too costly, etc. The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in '74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now, at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids, we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. A lie.
So yeah, now you heard that right from her mouth, and I've definitely been following this for a long time, and you have to put this into perspective here. When Kennedy tried to stop the Vietnam War, you saw what happened to him, right? And you have to understand that the people that did that to Kennedy to prevent him from putting a stamp on on the military-industrial complex, right? Those people are still in charge, which is why everything she said has basically happened. So this idea that that they're going to be building space-based weapons in order to fight perceived aliens is definitely going to happen. So I've come to the conclusion you can't fight them. I can try and expose the truth to people, but the simple fact of the matter is the train left the station a long time ago. There's no stopping what these people have done. So, my advice is, find out the companies who are going to make the most money and just invest. But anyways, let me go on to this next video. This video here talks about a little-known State Department in the Pentagon, or little-known department in the Pentagon that they believe holds a lot of information about UFOs. But check this out.
The acronym is OES. That stands for the Bureau of Oceans and International Environmental and Scientific Affairs. It's one of many bureaus inside the State Department whose overall mission is to carry out U.S. foreign policy and international relations. OES, whose logo has an astronaut, elephant, and whale, is divided into 9 offices, one of which is the Office of Space and Advanced Technology, SAT. OES SAT, as it's written, is working with NASA to return astronauts to the moon, and is also helping to build a space object registry that ensures commercial activity can operate safely. Is there any evidence then that OAS SAT has analyzed UFOs? May 17, 1978. OES drafts a memo to the American Embassy in La Paz, Bolivia on reports of a fallen space object. No direct correlation with known space objects that may have re-entered Earth's atmosphere can be made, it writes. We are continuing to examine any possibilities. They asked the embassy for more information on the number of objects and whether or not they had any markings on them. The paper trail stops there, aside from the CIA gathering local reports of people seeing a flying saucer squadron before the crash. Todd Zeckel, once editor for Citizens Against UFO Secrecy, asked NASA about the Bolivia incident, to which they referred him to OES. A colonel there said fallen space objects were within his purview and that the Bureau spent resources tracking them. This is quietly backed up by other documents too. In 1976, OES was included in communication about space metal photographed in Canada and sent to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. That year, OES also received a report on a silver luminous sphere seen over Morocco. In 78, the Bureau was emphasized in a confidential report on efforts to have the UN investigate UFOs.
Okay, yeah, that's all I can play with this. But obviously, our country, again, as well as Russia, has been studying our neighbors for a very long time. And that's, the fact that there's so many cable shows about UFOs or there's so many people, there's the majority of the population does accept the reality of UFOs now. I think, this disclosure, which is supposed to happen in June or July or sometime, I think it's going to be, they're going to finally reveal that we're not alone on the planet. And if they don't reveal that, then they're going to tell us that, they found alien life on Mars, but that alien life is just going to be microscopic, something microscopic. But anyways, let's check out this story here. The Army's new night vision goggles look like technology stolen from aliens. Check this out. When you think of night vision goggles, you probably imagine the pitch black of night being illuminated in a sea of green that helps improve visibility. That's ancient technology now, as the U.S. Army's Lancer Brigade of Joint Base Lewis McChord demonstrates what soldiers see through the military's latest and greatest night vision goggles. The predator would be jealous. Yeah, check that out. But anyways, I'm not going to read the whole story. You can check out the link in the description. Let's see. This is a story from 1865 of UFO sightings. I know still there are some of these people who want to try and attribute all of the recent UFO sightings to drones or technology from, some other country. But, if that's the case, well, who was doing that in 1865? Let's see. The Missouri Democrat, dated October 19th, 1865, gives an account of the sighting of an unknown flying object under the headline of A Strange Story, Remarkable Discovery. Mr. James Lumley, an old Rocky Mountain trapper who has been stopping at the Everett House for several days, makes a most remarkable statement to us, and one which, if authenticated, will produce the greatest excitement in the scientific world. Mr. Lumley states that about the middle of last September, he was engaged in trapping in the mountains about 75 or 100 miles above the Great Falls of the Upper Missouri and in the neighborhood of what is known as Cadott Pass. Just after sunset one evening, he beheld a brightly luminous body in the heavens which moved with great rapidity in an easterly direction. It was plainly visible for at least 5 seconds when it suddenly separated into particles resembling, as Mr. Lumley describes it, the bursting of a skyrocket in the air. A few minutes later, he heard a heavy explosion which jarred the earth very perceptibly, and this was shortly after followed by a rushing sound, like a tornado sweeping through the forest. A strong wind sprang up about the same time, but suddenly subsided. The air was also filled with a particular odor of a sulfurous character. I wonder if he got bombarded with some nuclear particles. But anyways, yeah, this is a story about a UFO sighting that goes back to 1865. Let's see. Now let's go to this photo here. Check out this multiple water spouts in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, of course, I'm of the belief that there are giant alien ships behind these clouds sucking up fuel for their interplanetary or intergalactic travels. But anyways, link will be in the description. Yeah, this video here is about this rock structure. Let's see, they found here. Let me go back to about here and check this out.
Some speculate that this block in the quarry of Zayat al-Sultan could weigh more than 2,000 tons, which means it's also heavier than all the blocks at Baalbek. After spending a while on Google Earth, I've located the block and I've put the coordinates in the description below. I also must apologise for the fact that the majority of the images in this video are black and white, but that's really all that's available as far as I can see. The focus of this video isn't a well-known subject. Interestingly, the outline of a statue of a king is faintly chiselled onto the block, and so we know that this stone was being quarried to make what would have been one of the largest and greatest colossi of ancient Egypt.
Yeah, let me see. Let me just go back and show you what the colossi looks like. Let's see, where was that? Oh, here we go.
It was assumed that this was another...
Yeah, look at this here. They were going to make a couple more of these. And, I've said this before. A lot of times, some archaeologists want to claim that the reason why it's still in the ground is, the builders figured out that they couldn't lift something so big, while ignoring the fact that they've done it multiple times before. And another thing that's very interesting that I want to point out are these the bottom cuts. One thing that I used to always wonder about was how were they able to make the bottom cut? If they were using like a flat saw, the weight of the stone would weigh down the saw as it tried to cut the bottom. But what they do is they just excavate more of the bottom. But anyways, yeah, this is a great video that shows an uncut monolith, I guess, and how they did it, and the fact that they could do it. And again, and I want to remind people, remember, this was done before there was a wheel, before the wheel was invented. And if you look at any or if you read anything about the way people made rope out of hemp. Okay, and if hemp rope were strong enough to lift this stuff, we would be using hemp rope on all of the docks to transport cargo, but they don't. They use steel reinforced cable, and I don't even think steel reinforced cable would be strong enough to lift, or maybe a bunch of them it would, but still, we use steel reinforced cable to lift heavy objects, but there's no evidence that there was a wheels, no evidence of any type of cable was used. So you would have to conclude that they somehow were able to pull this out using maybe some type of anti-gravity device. But anyways, link to this will be in the description. Last is just this video here of this volcano erupting. Look at this thing. Let me start at the beginning. You can see this thing just going crazy. And I believe this is in real time too, because watch these. Yeah, look at the cars going by. So that is going to be it for this video here. Of course, the link will be in the description. You want to check out the rest of it. But if you like things like this, please give this video a thumbs up. Please share this video. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I have more things like this. Take care.